Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to go over a couple tips and tricks that I think are really helpful, especially if you're struggling with a little bit of anatomy and how things tie together, or maybe just why things don't always look right. Drawing is an illusion that we pull off on a flat space to make something look 3D, and in order to do that, we need to employ some tricks. And today we're going to go over the double helix and a line of beauty, which a line of beauty is kind of like an S-curve. And the double helix is a little poetic and cheesy, but it's something that I've kind of noticed and that pops up when you're drawing the body. So we'll just start with the side arm here. So if you start with your shoulder mass, and you do one high, one low, kind of the double helix idea. Now your bicep low, tricep high. So if you carry the double helix through, now you're going to go low forearm mass and then high forearm mass for this helix. And so by the time you start connecting these with some S-curves, you kind of start to get the rhythm and form that you'll associate with what our body generally kind of looks like. These rhythms are really everywhere in the body in terms of the double helix. And with a little bit of knowledge in anatomy, you'll start to understand how these shapes tie into each other in ways that, might be a little more elegant than just attaching everything with S-curves. But if you put these lines of beauties on the end of your muscles, like this, and even down into here and here, you'll kind of really have something that looks pretty believable. And maybe it's not entirely accurate anatomically, but again, we're employing tricks, not necessarily something that is 100% totally accurate to the situation. Now this sort of trick also works. So you can carry this down into the wrist joint, by the way. You have your low mass here, so you have your low kind of bony nubbin on your forearm, and then your high one. And then for side arm, or for your side fist, you can have high and low mass. And anyways, that's kind of your general arm. Now you can employ the same trick through the lower body for side profile, and you can do it for front profile too. This also would obviously work for the front of your arm. Your shapes are just going to be a little more reduced, but you have your side profile A, which is going to be pretty quad dominant at the top. So that's your big loop up there, and then you have hamstring back here. Now, high quad, high calf, low hamstring, low shin. You can carry these down to do the double helix idea, but by the time we kind of attach these with S-curves, we really start to kind of get the form of the leg again. Now you can even do it for glute. Your glute back here, and then your pelvis or abdominal muscle there as an opposite force to the glute. So there's this balance that comes high, low, high, low, high, low. And it's just really helpful to help you piece together what you need to do, because obviously by the time these articulate, like if your arm was bent up here, you'd still have, your high forearm mass and your low forearm mass. And, that it's just really helpful to understand this rhythm. And again, for the front of the leg, you have your high quad and then low quad, which this is kind of a teardrop looking muscle right above the kneecap. So if we put our kneecap there, you had high quad out here, you're going to have high calf if you carry this down through the helix. Low there, and you're going to have low kind of more shin, but some people who are extra muscular have some mass out there. And then by the time you kind of attach these, you kind of get the makeup. And this line here, what's kind of really poetic about carrying the helix through is these are really pretty indicative of the way that these muscles end up attaching to their origins or terminators, like the bones. So if you carry the quad down to the kneecap, carry this down there, then you kind of start getting the makeup of how these muscles behave. And again, imagine, your femur ends here right at your kneecap. So how would these muscles all attach there? And so you have your kind of teardroppy muscle there. And if you follow that up, this is really the shape it takes to attach to your femur at the top. And then you'd have a little bit of hamstring there. And I didn't give him very robust calves for how big his quads ended up being. But that's kind of the rhythm that we want to explore when we're struggling. And I don't know, I find it pretty helpful. And I constantly remind myself of it if I'm struggling with something. It's like, well, where are my masses at here that I could use as landmarks to get me back on track? He said, I know we're not making pretty drawings here with these, but this is just a little exercise that could be helpful to help you figure out what exactly you're looking at particularly when you're struggling, and how can you use this knowledge to help solve a problem. And I can't think of anything more simple than just thinking of the double helix and that rhythm that goes through the body when you're not certain. All right, so anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope these tricks are kind of helpful. There is more nuance to it than this, but this basic rhythm here can just get you in the right direction. And it might even tie together some things that you're seeing in your drawing that you don't like the interactions of. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.